Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. Okay, so before I start this video, I want to give a very quick update. So somewhere in my video, I said 3 of the original Rangers couldn't return. And I said, I still don't know the reason for Amy Jo Johnson. She said, she didn't go because of what was offered. I said, I have no idea what it was. It might have been money, but who really knows? Maybe it wasn't written, her character wasn't written well to what she wanted. I don't know. However, I recorded that last night, and I don't know what part of the video I say that in. Now, this morning, she seemed to have given somewhat of an update onto why she didn't go. She didn't say specifically, but you can probably put the pieces together. Basically, last year when this was being filmed, she was going through some demons. And when people say that, that's normally a phrase saying alcoholism. This is something that has plagued all of the original 6 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, except for 2 that I know of. Other ones have publicly stated, they suffer from alcoholism and stuff like that. I think JDF mentioned he did. I read somewhere Austin did at one point in time after Power Rangers. Walter has not said anything about it, but I did read he had a DUI back in the day. And, I haven't heard anything about David or Twee about alcoholism, but Amy is the latest to mention she had it bad back in the day and she was going through some stuff last year. It's all on her Instagram. She wrote this lengthy statement and stuff. And so that's probably why she didn't go. That's my assumption, you know what I'm saying? Because they was filming last year around that time, and she was going through a lot of stuff, and she was depressed and upset, and she mentions how she did all this stuff back in the day that revolved around a lot of alcohol and stuff. And so I'm glad she's getting help, that and being a better person. And I just wish alcohol was never invented. There's a lot of stuff I wish was never invented. Alcohol, drugs, weapons, people. You know how I feel about people in general. Money's another thing. Seriously, why is there money in the world? Why? The world would be so better off if there was no money. You can make things for free. You can get free health care, a free home, free food, free clothes, free anything. Why is there money? I don't understand that. But yeah. So I just wanted to get that update and stuff like that. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. Man, that was so good. And I was scared, you know what I'm saying? Because, they were bringing on the 90s nostalgia. I was wondering what the story was going to be like. Certain people weren't able to show back up. I was kind of afraid they might not explain things so well. But oh my God, dude, that was so much fun. That really, it's weird. The kid in me came back alive to where I was just smiling all the time. But at that same time, it had this maturity level to it. Something that Power Ranger fans have been wanting. Because many Power Ranger fans are in between their 40s and 50s who's, been with it as long as I have, And when you look at the stuff that, that's been on TV, like Hasbro, the Disney era, it still had, in the Nickelodeon stuff, the Neo Saban, it still had that kiddish feel to it, you know what I'm saying? And so this had a much, much more mature, vibe to it. And thank God it did. Because I remember some dude made something called Power Rangers. It was about a decade and a half ago. And it was very dark and gritty, and I did not like that for the most part. It was too dark and gritty, and I hate the 2017 movie. It just didn't feel right. But this had a nice blend. Now, is it perfect? No. Was it good? Yes. Was it on levels of greatness? Heck yeah. And everything. And but there are some things that I really enjoy, and there are some things that kind of irritated me a little bit, but not that bad. The only real true complaints I have with this is just probably three. The pacing in the beginning was really fast and you didn't have time to sink everything in. Some of the dialogue, yes. Now, this is some of the dialogue that just can't be excused. Now, I understand they're older, so older people use slang terms that they did back in the day, and some of that I can give a pass to, but some of the other dialogue is just kind of like, come on, man, that's a little too 90s, David. It's too 90s, man. And the one thing I just can't forgive, this is one thing in this whole thing I will never forgive. That was the morphing sequence. I'm sorry. There are times you have to improve on things. There are times you have to update things. You can't always go back for the nostalgia and try to make it as exactly the way it was back in the day. And they should have improved on the morphing sequence. It was kind of cool to see the old school style, but with the HD like resolution and the CGI, it looked weird. It looked cheaper than what it did back in like the 90s. Now, once a Ranger, when Adam morphed, they should have done that. That is what they should have done. That was beautiful. That was a much needed update on the morph. And this is what they should have did here. But it wasn't my only like major complaints. There's only like tiny nitpicks here and there. But other than that, I really love this, man. Like, oh my God, you have no idea. And stuff. And it's like, I haven't watched nobody's review except for two. And I only watched those two because I was curious. One didn't particularly like it because he felt that it was just like, the typical Hasbro looking era type stuff and some other stuff. And one dude just thought it sucked. And stuff. And I do get what they're talking about. Like, I really do get what they're talking about because I had some of those complaints as well. Then there's one dude's review who I did not, there's two guys review. Well, no, there's two different YouTube channel reviews I did not watch that didn't like it. One was two dudes together, and one was just one guy. I don't even know who they are. I've never seen them before. But like, one, you can tell he's one of those anti-woke mobster type people because he had David Yost on like the thumbnail cover and the pride flag and talking about, this is terrible, this is blah blah blah. I'm just like, I ain't got no time for that crap. Like, make your YouTube buck someplace else, you know what I'm saying? And so like, what, is he really offended there's a gay male couple in there all because the man said my boyfriend's in trouble, and then they stood next to each other? Is that what triggered this man so much? Is this what made I can't even say what I want to say right now because it's the Power Rangers, and you never know if a kid's watching the video. I can't even say what I want to say. But seriously, is that really what got you triggered? Like, people make me sick. This is why I hate people, man. People just make me sick and everything. And it's just like, damn, more important things get triggered over than that. And so, like, I haven't seen none of the other reviews from videos I normally watch because I wanted to come in this with a fresh mind. But I was curious to why those people didn't like it. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I get it and stuff like that. Other people that had like the giant like Joker grin on their thumbnails, I figured they loved it. Their heads exploded. And I was like, okay, but why? And now I saw why, you know what I'm saying? And it was just fun. Like, it was just really, 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 really fun. And you can tell they went for that cinematic feel to it. It didn't feel like your typical TV episode. It was a true like, special event. It was a true reunion special, you know what I'm saying? There's some things that I just wish they would have done like slightly better, you know what I'm saying? Because when you look at other reunion specials, like say, I don't know, maybe like Once and Always. No, not Once and Always. This is Once and Always. Like Once a Ranger. It had a much stronger plot, I will say. Even though there was some things wonky in it, like the child of Rita and Lord Zed, and the weird explanation of the morphing grid. But other than that, it had a pretty solid, like, plot and stuff like that. It had a typical TV plot. And then, of course, like Forever Red, it had the simplest plot ever, but it had amazing action to where it looked like Matrix type stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you do when you have like a reunion special. You bust everything out to like the highest level and stuff like that. And so, God, that was good. But anyways, so let's get into like, what I liked, what I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of something else I was thinking about. I was thinking about I was trying to think of like, I don't know, I was getting on the topic of YouTube people, and then I lost track. And I got irritated by that one person. Don't know. But anyways, it does now make me wonder if this is what the Netflix like Power Rangers is gonna look like, because I was surprised they used the word kill and dead and died, and I was very surprised how gruesome they used their weapons. Like Billy stabbed Robo Rita straight through the chest, man. I couldn't believe that. And then like men, it's like stabbing with like, the power daggers and stuff like that. Like it was pretty brutal, but there was room for improvement. Oh, now I remember what I was gonna say. Like, I don't understand some people who try to be butt heads. I'm about to say another word, but butt heads is gonna have to do. When they just try to be jerkish for no reason. Like, before this even came out, there was like a clip online. And somebody's all like, man, they're old. And like, oh, I see they brought everything back from the 90s, even the bad acting. Like, why do you have to say something like that for? Like, why? Why do you have to say something like that? These people did us a great service of trying to give us something that we love and bring us back to the time of when it all started. They didn't have to do this. They wanted to do this. This was like this was the ultimate love letter to fans that David Yost gave us. And for somebody to say something like that, we all know what Power Rangers is about. We all know what Power Rangers acting is about. We all know nobody has like immortality. You know what I'm saying? The fountain of youth. People age. That's just what they do. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, why do you have to go that extra level of being like, a punk and everything? Like, I don't understand that. And there's a lot of choice words I want to use right now, but I can't. And, it's just like, and I know what you're probably saying. Oh, you like rip on celebrities and stuff like that. Yeah, if I rip on a celebrity, I have an actual good blanking reason to rip on them. It's a very humanistic, moral reason that I rip on certain celebrities, because they go against people's rights and like, their morality and stuff like that. I don't just rip on them just to rip on them and stuff like that. But then just to be like a South Park like butthole and everything, like why you gotta be that for? That's what I don't understand. I just don't understand. So this is why I hate people. I just hate people and stuff like that. I don't understand people. And of course, because they're behind a computer typing away, they just say what they want. And some people, man, like I swear, man, like, I don't understand. I gotta give a shout out to I don't know if she's an actress or not, the person who played Min, because she's an actual martial artist. And, I believe it was like her first time acting, and if it was, she did a pretty good like job. You know what I'm saying? Like, kudos to her. And I love the way she acted like an actual teenager. Some people got upset because she was a little too hard on Billy and also Zach, but mostly Billy. But she was acting just like an angry teenager. Her mother literally died. It was literally Billy's fault twice and everything. Like, you'll be pissed too. And so I totally understand why she acted the way she did. I also loved how like juvenile she acted. Like, with the rat bug, stealing the morpher twice, stealing the like cloaking device and everything. Like, and then, understanding why Billy feels the way he did, trying to bring Zordon back and all this other stuff, and her understanding like how she should have like took a breath before she said what she said. That's totally fine. She acted like, out of anger, stuff like that. She acted like an actual teenager. Finally, these people are acting like actual teenagers. There's been a couple of times where Power Rangers have been teenagers and they never acted like teenagers and stuff. But because this actress is actually young, she actually acted like a teenager. Now, Justin, that's a little confusing because I think he was a kid. And yeah, he kind of acted like a kid and that was so annoying. But they wrote him to be annoying. They didn't really write her to be annoying. They wrote her to be realistic and everything. And I really appreciated that. I'm so glad they explained how Robo Rita came to be, and I could not believe how she came to be. It's so Avengers Age of Ultron, man. Because they could not have, because there's some things they did not explain. That kind of irritated me. But I'm so glad they explained this, because at first they didn't. I'm just like, kind of like, what's going on? Aren't you going to explain how Robo Rita came to be? And so they did. Basically, in the flashback, Billy is trying to resurrect Zordon. Apparently, he scanned for particles from the Z-Wave and everything. He tried to resurrect him back. But everything that Zordon touched, even the evil, those particles spread too. And one of those particles was Rita's evil essence, because Rita turned back into like a humanoid alien and everything, then Mystic Mother. And so the evil, got teleported through like, whatever Billy was like conjuring up, and it affected Alpha 8. And Alpha 8 was the newest line in like the Alpha series and stuff. Okay, I gotta say that. Why Alpha looked good except for his arms and legs. That was some cheap, leathery, plastic looking crap. I'm sorry, but that was cheap looking. Like, seriously. Also, I wish they would change up Alpha's design. I'm tired of him always looking that way. Like, the best looking Alpha is Alpha 6. Plain and simple as that. But, like, they gotta change up his color scheme. They gotta change up his design. It's much needed at this point. And I really wish they would have changed up his outfit. But I understand why they didn't, because it was supposed to be like a love letter to the fans, nostalgia and stuff. And so it affects him and he turns into Robo Rita. And so this now explains why Rita has that weird robotic looking face. The face is a little stupid looking in my opinion. It's kind of like Mondo Machine from the Machine Empire dude. So I guess they kind of drew back from that. What would have been a whole lot better? If Rita's dark essence went into some random woman on the street and boom, Barbara Goodson could have actually played Rita and everything. That would have been great. And gotta give it up. I'm so glad that Rita actually got to do some fighting. That's something we've never seen before. And, almost every, alien boss has fought except for Rita. And so it was nice to finally see her fight. And so, of course, Billy is trying to, stop her on his own. And he's getting his butt kicked. And kudos to them for giving him a split lip. Like, it's cut at the bottom. I was surprised they did that. And, the rest of the Rangers, they show up. And I love the scenery. I fell in love with New Zealand back in the Hercules and Xena days and in the other shows, but man, they found some great locations. And thank God they actually found some new locations and stuff. Because I get tired of them always using the same crap for like the TV shows. And I think they use Dutch angles and everything, which a lot of people don't like and complain about, but I like Dutch angles. And so like the action, I like the beginning action scene and kind of don't. My only problem is it was kind of like a little too fast and shaky cam. And I get it, they're going for that cinematic movie feel, but it was kind of jarring and I didn't know where to look because it kept bouncing around, but it did look pretty nice. And you know, of course, what happens is Rita tries to blast Billy and Trini tries to save him. And she literally blows up. I'm like, dude, they blew her up. And of course, this is something Trini would totally do. She always protected Billy because he was the weakest fighter of the group, which technically he should never have been, because once you morph, you instantaneously have that like connection to the morphing grid, and like, you know, it's instant, like it's instant, you know how to fight and everything. But this is something she will totally do. And I've said this before a couple of months ago. I am, and it's gonna sound morbid, but I am so glad they finally killed the character of Trini off, because Twee Train, of course, we all knew she died many years ago, about 20 years ago, and it was so sad and tragic, and it just hurts, you know what I'm saying? And every time they kept bringing back Mighty Morphin Yellow, it's kind of like, who is she? Is she Aisha or is she Trini? And of course, it's gonna be Trini because that's what the writers love to do and stuff like that. But I felt like it was just a dishonor to the actual actress knowing she passed. And this is something that should have happened a long time ago. And I felt like, you know, 'cause it hurt all the time seeing Mighty Morphin Yellow come back for reunion stuff and knowing she will never be able to voice her, like never, you know what I'm saying? And so it was the right thing to do. And now I'm wondering, are they going to do it for the Tommy character because of Jason David Frank? It does make you wonder, because now since this is so popular and it had high ratings and all this other stuff, now fans are speculating, will they do this for other series or seasons? Because I think CBR said like we need to have a Turbo in Space reunion, and Tracy Lynn Cruz all, yes, we totally need to do that and everything like that. Like she wants to come back and do like a reunion special type thing, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other past Ranger people want to as well. And it does make me wonder, is that ever gonna happen? Should it happen? Like, sure, why not? It would be fun, you know what I'm saying? Just don't make it so 90s. Just don't make it so 90s and everything. And of course, now, you know, there's been a lot of debate online. Should Jenna Frank be the new Green Ranger? It's something she wants. It's something a lot of fans feel that she should be. But that is only because they don't know that Jason David Frank had 3 other kids and stuff like that. So I personally don't care either way, and it would be very respectful to have one of his kids play that, but you know which one, you know what I'm saying? So that's the problem. I know Hunter is an actual martial artist. I believe Jenna might be a martial artist as well. I don't know. It could be one of those slippery slope things to where other Power Rangers stars kids be all like, well, I want to come back as like, you know, replacement, this and that. So it's one of those things that's going to be kind of like it's one of those dicey type things. Like I said before, I personally don't care either way. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you know what I'm saying. And so after she dies, you know, of course they take off their helmets and it's that big tragic thing. And yeah, she literally blew up. And Simon Bennett, like somebody said that originally she was supposed to disintegrate, but that would have been a little too dark. Now Simon did say this takes place a year, or at least this takes place before Dino Fury. And we even get a cameo from one of the reporter ladies from Dino Fury and stuff like that. Would have been a better cameo if it was Amelia, you know what I'm saying? Really tied in. Now, this is the part I both love and don't. Now, this is the part where it moves a little too quickly. After she fell off the cliff and blew up, you know, two of the Rangers take off their helmets and the others don't. And, like, that's one of the things I just hate in Power Rangers. Like, when they bring people back and some take their helmets off and some don't, we know the reason why. And I just hate seeing that. So it's just, I wish the other Rangers, like, you would have saw them taking off their helmets at a certain point, but not actually fully taking them off, you know. But then this is the part that's kind of hard because it zips 1 year into the future and we don't get no real time to grieve. And Billy and Zach are having a very heated debate about should they tell men. And I really like the dialogue with this, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really deep. It's really personal. And of course she overhears and she's upset. And I'm thinking, man, a whole year has passed by and they didn't explain how her mom died and stuff like that. I mean, the body blew up. What they gonna tell her? Like, that's the part of the writing that gets a little too iffy. Like, what were they gonna tell? Like, the body, you literally saw the explosion. So it's like, you know, what do they tell her? Now, here's my one problem with the death. I have been wondering something ever since Lost Galaxy, and that is, if you die while morph, technically you should come back alive. Like, Kendrix was the first true Power Ranger to ever die. She was morphed and her soul and essence went into her Quasar Saber and the morphing grid healed her. Technically, Corone died as well and Andros brought her back alive with a tear. How? I don't know. I'm assuming because she was near the Z-Wave, that was infused her and brought her back. That's what I'm assuming. And she don't count because she's not a Ranger, so she was never morphed. But the Z-Wave hit her, so that was like a huge like particle beam, you know what I'm saying? So that would brought her back. Now, Zato, he died and he came back alive. And when he died, he was morphed. And so now this makes me wonder, if you are morphed and you die, does the morphing grid heal your body? It's shown to do that before. Was it the morphing grid or was it the morphing masters? We know Green likes to interfere and stuff. This is one of those problematic things with the morphing master. Sometimes now I'm starting to wonder, was it a bad idea to create them? Because it just creates all these paradoxes and stuff and all these problems and stuff, you know? And so I think if Rita were to kill her, she should have killed her unmorphed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's now been canon that we've seen two Rangers die morphed and they came completely back and stuff like that, you know? And so then we see, like, you know, the year passed and Zach now lives with men. He takes care of her. Zach is not married. He has no kids. And so, like, you know, he's a congressman who gave up his job. And, you know, this is one of those things I've been saying about reunion specials. I got this feeling with what was it? Dimensions in Danger. It's kind of like, for the first time, I actually, like, I've known these stars have aged, you know what I'm saying? But that's the first time I ever, like, really thought about it when I saw JJ and Tommy had a son. I'm just kind of like, huh. The dude has a son, and yet he's still a Power Ranger and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, you know, why are they still Power Rangers? Zordon literally made them stop when they became adults and told them to live their lives. because you know Zordon just loves having kids fight dangerous stuff. But then that didn't make no sense when you had other seasons and they're adults. And yeah, one of those things. But anyway, so it's just kind of weird. Like, he's a congressman, or was, and he was still being a Power Ranger. Like, what if he would have died in the line of duty? You know what I'm saying? And so that's always one of them things that kind of like, I love reunion specials, but there has to be a point in time where somebody's going to have to give up that power and just live a normal life. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, they go to like the funeral, or not funeral, the grave site. And of course, you know, they hear Rangers morphing. And it's ADR, like it's old recorded archive footage and stuff of like older Rangers. Except for Jason, he sounds weird. And they don't sound like him. Except for when he morphed, that sounds like him. But the grunts don't sound like him. And I do appreciate them using old like recordings. Like when Trini like shouted out to Billy to try to save him. I remember that exact phrase, how she said it from back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And so this was a smart and clever way to do it because, you know, the original stars, some of them could not come back and actually morph. Amy Jo Johnson, she just said, you know, what was offered, she didn't like. She clarified and said it wasn't money. So what exactly was it? I think it was money. She just don't want to say. And cause it sounds petty if you do, but you know, like I said before, it's expensive to go over there, man, in New Zealand and stuff. And so I don't know what exactly was offered. Maybe she didn't like what was written for her character, which I don't know. And of course, we all know why Austin can't, like, you know, to do it and stuff like that. And sadly, we know why Jason, David Frank, can't do it. So this was a smart way of, like, you know, writing them out and pretending like they morphing off screen and stuff like that, you know. And so, like, of course, you know, men, she wants to help. You know, I feel it, man. She wants to help. She wants to fight. And she makes a good point. You know, Zordon recruited you when, like, you know, you were my age and stuff like that. But now, this is the thing I'm saying. Like the whole Justin thing, that's he was younger than all of them. So that's even more screwed up. But Zach sees that, you know, he realizes they should have never became Power Rangers as teenagers and stuff. It was too dangerous for them. And it's only when you get older you start to realize things like that. It's like when you're younger and you climb trees or you walk alongside a brick wall and, you know, and you're adventurous and you do it. But then when your kid wants to do it or your relative that's younger, you just like, no, don't do that because you can fall and hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so this does kind of paint Zordon in a little bit of a bad light. He's always had that painted on him to the point where he recruited teenagers and stuff, you know. And then he recruited a little kid, kind of. Well, the kid snuck on board, but still, you know what I'm saying? It still made him a Power Ranger. And so, like, you know, they get captured and they get turned teeny weeny tiny. And so they get on out there with the rat bug too, and that's really cool. It has a great design to it and stuff. And so now we get to the point where they start bringing back the other two Rangers. Apparently now, I guess they're trying to do like a hexagon type thing. At one point there was supposed to be Power Rangers hexagon, where it's supposed to be multiple teams of Rangers, you know, united as one. So Alpha does this contingency plan that like alerts all the Rangers, and then, you know, I guess they all come in one spot to fight, which is kind of weird because it's kind of like you don't need over 100 Rangers to fight like one Robo Rita, you know what I'm saying? I get it for like that Mega Force, like, you know, reunion special. You needed everybody to come back for that, but here, not so much. And apparently this contingency plan doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It does a shout out to every Ranger and it automatically teleports them to the new command center without them knowing. But it only brought back Kat and Rocky. Why didn't it bring back every Power Ranger back. See, that's the part about the writing that gets a little like funky and everything, you know? And so it has now been established once, and what I did not want to happen, JJ is Kat, and her and Tommy are together. I did not want that to happen. I don't care if they're married, because of course that Zeo episode, but I didn't want JJ to be hers. I wanted Kimberly and Tommy to get back together, they break up, and Kat becomes a stepmom. That's how I wanted it, you know what I'm saying? But hey, whatever. And but they don't state what her job is. So I guess she's just a stay-home mom. Like she's 1950s. Oh God. But Rocky's the fireman and everything. And it was cool seeing Rocky back. I hate when Rocky gets so much hate. Like that really bugs me. He's not terrible. And the dude's been a Power Ranger longer than like, Jason and everything. And I'm talking about the Austin St. John Jason. And so like, now this is the point that gets very, 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 very confusing. The contingency plan Alpha has made proxy power coins, and Zordon literally told them two Rangers with the same power cannot be morphed at the same time. But they say, screw it and whatever. But this is supposed to be a huge, huge, huge problem, and you're not supposed to do that. And that's continuity right there. But of course, both teams were morphed when they had the Sword of Power, but that's only because the actors weren't really there. They had to like cover them up somehow. Now, here's another big, major problem I have with them using the proxy coins. Why a proxy coin? How long does it last? Can they keep it? Not to mention, why don't they have master morphers? That has already been established in continuity. Jason had it for Dimensions in Danger. It works amazing. He can call on every power he's ever been. Because people have been wondering where the Zeo powers are, where the turbo powers are. They didn't do none of that. There's no explanation of that. There's no explanation of like, a master morpher. That would have been the most logical thing to do instead of a proxy coin. Not only that, but once a Ranger also screwed up this whole like bringing powers back, because we know Sentinel Knight has restored like those Power Ranger powers that lost them, like that was on that team for that episode. And Adam had, the Mastodon coin. So that has already been restored. And so I guess it went back to Zach at some other point in time, but Zach already had his original Mastodon coin when the powers got transferred. So I don't understand that, you know what I'm saying? So why couldn't they just call on Sentinel Knight and just like, have him appear in the show and like, have him restore the power? Not to mention Alpha 7 actually went inside the morphing grid and reactivated the Operation Overdrive Ranger powers. Why couldn't they do this here and have Alpha just reactivate their powers? But oh wait, their powers are already reactivated. We've seen the Mighty Morphin Rangers morph on 2 separate or 3 separate occasions. And we know also Kat has her Turbo Morpher. So where is that? So it's kind of like this is the thing they really need to sit down for another reunion special and actually explain where all these reactivated powers are coming from and stuff, because it's getting very confusing now. And there's also, not forget, Jason, his coin just came out of nowhere and stuff, and we now know it's the Morphine Master. And why couldn't the Morphine Master restore their powers? And so like so the whole proxy coin thing is bizarre. Now the thing I can't forgive, I'm sorry, but this was too nostalgic for me, the morphing sequence. The thing about the old 90s morphing sequence, it had old camera work, grain on it, pitiful looking CGI. It worked with the grain. And Here you have excellent CGI in the new day and age we're living in. We have HD TV quality. It makes everything look weird on that like green background screen, you know what I'm saying? This morphing sequence looked weird. It looked like almost like a video game and stuff. Not to mention Adam's morph and Once a Ranger was beautiful. This is how you update that of a morphing sequence. Oh, let me talk about the command center. Some people have complained about it. I love everything in the command center except for the walls. The walls look pitiful. Everything else looks great. It looks glossy. Because Simon Bennett has literally said, you know, there are some things they just could not have in the show. And some things they could not make. And they had to do the best they could on such a short notice. And of course, on a budget and everything. So kudos to him. And so when they morph, you know, they fight and stuff like that. And they using cheesy dialogue. I could not. Some of the dialogue I just couldn't, man. You can't give a pass to that. You really just can't. Like they shouldn't have went that far with it, you know. And so then of course they have to demorph because that's how the monster minotaur dude is able to find them. And so apparently he's able to find all rangers who are morphed. So you mean to tell me nobody's allowed to morph? Even if there's cities and dangers, that's part of the writing that's a little funky, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, let me speed up this review. I know this is going to be long. Men has a very, 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 very in-your-face message to Billy, telling him it's all your fault. And it is the honest God truth. It's his fault twice that Trini is dead. And this is when they should have added better music since they had that cinematic feel to it, to make it more compelling. And this is why I'm saying the pacing so fast. After she hurts his feelings, he's all like, you know, you're right. But you don't see him really grieve. You don't really see him take it in. You need that time to take it in. You just can't speed things on through to get through with, like, you know, the episode and stuff. So of course at one point she steals the morpher, she tries to morph, and it don't work. And it's pretty funny when she's unable to morph. And this is when we get the juice bar scene. And Rocky and Rocky and Zach, you know, they fight the putties. I like the explodingness of the putties. That's very 2017's movies. I like that. And, you know, here's my thing. When did Ernie get his juice bar back? Because in space, they turned into Adele's little, like, you know, tropical place where she serves French fries and everything. It hasn't been the juice bar in a long time. And so when did this happen? It would have been nice to have an explanation and everything. And Ernie is still alive because they mention Ernie and everything. And you know what? You can't show Ernie no more because he has sadly passed away. And so this is why I feel like they went too far in nostalgia. The juice bar looked amazing. It looked updated with the colors of, you know, stuff like that. And it looked like a complete replica. But it's one of those things they should have just left alone, you know. They should have made it into Bulk and Skull's sandwich shop, which, you know, that was a nice little cameo with a little like picture of Bulk and Skull have a sandwich shop. And the whole Bulk thing, man. Bulk has been one of the most confusing things ever, like, or characters ever. Like, they never explain how he got back from Miranoi. They never explain why he left and then ended up in Samurai. They never explain why Skull drives in a limo and has a really nice suit. Like, was it because of the sandwich shop? Is he rich because of that? Like, there would have been nice some explanation, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, them having a food place, kind of works. They do like eating food. And, you know, but it should have been their sandwich place instead of Ernie's, like, juice bar. And so then, you know, Zach is telling men, you know, you too hard on Billy. And Zordon was like a father figure. And, you know, he really missed them and tried to bring them back and everything like that. Oh, shout out to Zach leading the team. I was shocked and impressed But shouldn't Rocky technically lead the team because he is the Red Ranger? And I know there's a lot of debate about that because when Rocky was Red Ranger, he was never the leader. He was only second in command to Tommy. But if you're gonna go by ranks and there is no White Ranger right now, then technically he should be the leader and everything. And he's not, and that's really confusing. And then when Billy takes charge of the Megazord and Billy's front and center, shouldn't that have been either Zach or Rocky and stuff? Because they are technically the leaders, but I'll give it a pass. Now, the way they trapped the two robotic monsters was just a little too cheesy. I'm sorry, a giant magnet. And when did Cat learn how to work that heavy machinery? Like, that's just some of those things that needs to be explained. But the way they did the monsters in was just kind of weird, man. It just was. And so, men still doing her, I'm gonna be a teenager and just run off with the morpher and run off with the invisibility cloak and everything, as the other Rangers are going to Rita's palace. And so this is when she's driving the rat bug, and I love that scene, man. It's such a teenager thing to do and everything. But of course, this is she messes up because she ends up freeing the monsters by mistake. And, she should have just sat her behind down, but she couldn't. Now, the fight on, the Moon Palace and everything, it could have been better. It could have been better. We do get to know Rita's, plan. She wants to go back in the past and murder Rangers in their sleep. Dude. Such a 2017 movie reference and stuff. They bring men in and then they shoot men. I'm like, oh nah, dude, they killed her too. No, but I'm like, hold up. Why is she glowing on her chest? Oh, of course, it's her morpher. It took the impact, which don't make no sense. How is it that Trini died from the blast and while she was morphed? And when you're morphed, it's supposed to protect you in a certain it's supposed to protect you in a certain degree, but then it hit her morpher. So why didn't it still have that same effect? So that's what the writing is a little funky, you know what I'm saying? And so then she has the flashbacks of Trini, and that was so cool to see. And then they morph and everything, and then they call on their weapons. This is where the choreography for the fighting should have been better. You can't excuse this. The fighting should have been better for the choreography with the weapons and the stuff on the moon and stuff like that. Because when you have these reunion specials, you gotta hit it. You gotta go hard. You gotta go ham on the fighting. And reunion specials normally do that. Forever Red, Once a Ranger. They really bring it. Heck, even in the crossover episodes, they bring the action big time. And here, the fight barely lasted and it wasn't that great. But kudos to them stabbing the crap out of Robo Rita and then the Megazord. Let's talk about that, shall we? Now, the individual Zords look fine, and I really appreciate they went for the old school morphing sequence of the Zords. Still not sure how they're still around, because those Zords should have been destroyed, because remember they got turned into the Thunder Zords, and then those got destroyed, so I guess Billy rebuilt them and everything. But, technically he shouldn't have to if, the powers have been restored and you know what I'm saying? But I love the look of them. They look very mechanical. This is, in my opinion, how Zord should always look. With these little plates and the designs and the patterns and stuff like that. That grid look to it. It looks very machine-like. You know what it looks like? Taking it from Turbo, man. The Turbo movie. In the Turbo movie, they made their own Zords. And it gave them that whole mechanical look as opposed to the Sentai Zord looked. It just looked like regular toys and everything. And so the Megazord transforms, and it's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. It is literally on par with that of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, CGI Zords. That just looked terrible. They should have took more time and care to get the action moves down. Now, Simon Bennett said, they had short period of time. They could not build a suit. Okay, fine. I'll give them that. But the CGI should have been better than that. Or, I don't understand how the individual Zords look great, but that Megazord just looked terrible. And when the Power Sword came down and they destroyed it, it just literally just a little taps, stab, and it's just overnight. Nah, man, that was just terrible. They should have worked harder on the CGI. And so, of course, they go back and they destroy Robo Rita. Min pins her down as Zack blasts her and stuff. And, then they go back to the they go back to the command center. I haven't even talked about Aisha and them yet. So halfway in the middle of the thing, when they're talking about Aisha and Adam, they're in space. They're on a ship, and it has a cloak. We don't get to see the ship. We just get to see them on screen. Towards the end, we get to see them in person. They have finally made it to Earth. And they're SPA, a nod to SPD. And they even bring up one of the aliens from SPD. And so this is not explained whatsoever. This is literally not explained. This is something that should have been explained. Don't expect the fans who know this stuff to make fan canon in their head. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the A stands for Space Patrol Alpha. But what exactly do they do? Are they a training facility? Are they cops? What exactly are they? You know what I'm saying? And so, they start bringing up some Easter eggs of alien planets and stuff like that. And the alien rangers are going to help, the other Power Rangers. So that's kind of cool and stuff like that. Also, it makes you wonder now, aliens that are off planet, will they hear the contingency, alert and everything? And so, they go to the juice bar and they talk about how, she saw the memories and stuff like that. So they're going to let her be a Power Ranger. Then we get, a nice tribute to the end of, a scene from season 2 of Kimberly playing and singing and Zach is singing along with her. I don't remember this at all. I really don't. And I really need to rewatch that because I don't remember that at all. And they do a nice tribute to the 2 Rangers that have fallen. And so, with Billy talking about, the memories and this and that and the Morpher, maybe, hey, it's possible they can bring Zordon back. I'm actually surprised they didn't. But, of course, they had to because they couldn't because of the story. But, I thought for sure David Fielding was going to be in there, you know what I'm saying? Now, the 2 where Zordon's supposed to be in looked a little tiny. That should have been CGI. They couldn't make it big enough. Because Zordon's going to be a teeny tiny head inside that thing. Oh, I was wondering, who is Min's father and what happened to him? Did he walk out? Did he pass away too? That's something that really should have been explained. Nostalgia aside, I really wish they would have updated some things that needed to be updated. Because you gotta stop and think about it. At the end of the day, yes, this was a love letter, but there are people who haven't watched Power Rangers since Mighty Morphin aired. There are some people who never watched it, period, and always clown on it. This was a great opportunity for them to improve on certain things that did not work. The action choreography should have been stronger like it was in Forever Red or even some other crossovers. The dialogue shouldn't have been so 90s. They really should have, the director really should have, got a better acting performance out of some people. It's just at the end of the day, this franchise is dying. It struggles to limp on and stuff. And this was really a time where they should have showed people, hey, look, we can compete with Marvel and DC and this and that. And we're not just a joke. Because really, there were no real jokes or slapstick humor in this special. And that was a great thing. And so I just wish they would have improved on, like, you know, some things, you know what I'm saying, to really make this special like pop and everything. Because with certain things in this special, like I noticed, like with the morph sequence, like I noticed something as I was editing this video. I'm all like, oh look, they even made the giant morpher that they sit in crooked, similar to how it was in the 90s. Because when you look at the one in the 90s, it was never centered. It was always crooked. And they did this for this special. And I'm just like, why would you do that for? Like, not everything has to be 90s, not everything has to be nostalgia. You gotta update some things. And like I said before, that morph of Adams was like beautiful and everything. Because even on Twitter and YouTube, I'm still seeing people saying, oh, not one thing has changed. And it's exactly the way it was back in the 90s. And that can kind of hurt the brand, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, this was like the ultimate love letter, but at that same time, some things in this special needed to be updated. They even kept the pudgy, like neck brace looking things from the older costumes and stuff. And that hasn't been shown since Mighty Morphin. Even in Megaforce, they did not do that. They had a regular neck piece and stuff and regular gloves. And it's like some things need to be updated. And like, you know, like people's personalities for the most part were updated, so thank God for that. And they weren't updated in a way that, like, you know, was annoying. Like Walter being the parent figure, you know, that was cool because he realizes, you know, men can get hurt and stuff like that. And like, you know, Cat like complaining about motherhood, that was cool. Rocky talking about food, that was interesting. I never heard him really talk about food before. Billy seemed to be exactly the same. Optimistic, building stuff, using big words, but he wasn't nerdy like he was back in the day. But then again, Billy hasn't been nerdy since Mighty Morphin season 1. Like his personality improved in season 2 and 3 and even in Zeo, and he's kind of the way he was then, you know, that very mature, like smart person. Because I remember when Jason came back for Forever Red, one of the things that was very jarring was that his personality became very jerkish. He was a jerk throughout that entire special. And it makes me wonder, was this something he requested? Because, you know, say what you will about Austin St. John. I know people think he's God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even joking. Like, there are people who think Austin St. John is literally Jesus and everything. You know what I'm saying? There are people, I'm not even joking. I have read comments saying that if he goes to jail for that money fraud thing, they want to take his place. They want to start a GoFundMe to help him out. They think the man is Jesus. You have seen his personalities in interviews, you know what I'm saying? When he's at conventions, yeah, he's probably the nicest, sweetest person he is because he wants that money. But when you see him in interviews, you start to see the prickly side in him come out, especially talking about JDF. I honest to God believe, like, till the day JDF passed, the beef was never squashed. You can tell that on Power Rangers playback when he started talking about him. He ain't named by name, but you knew who he was talking about. And like, you know, and one of the nicest things that he did is, even though he had beef with that man, he still, you know, said some nice, respectful stuff after the day the man passed away. Because even he knows when to, like, you know, dial it back and calm himself down, you know what I'm saying? And so, because he's human, so, like, you know, he has the nice side to him and he has that prickly side to him. Because he even said in Power Rangers playback, they was looking for teenagers with attitude, and that's exactly who he was. He said back in the day he had an attitude and stuff like that and stuff. And of course they wrote him to be like nicer and stuff like that in the show and goody goody two shoes, but he also had that commanding voice that I always appreciated. He's the only Red Ranger who ever really had that commanding voice, you know, that shouting commanding voice whenever he morphed and stuff. And so, like, I just never understood why his personality changed so much in like Forever Red. And then he went back to the good old ways in like, you know, that Beast Morpher crossover and stuff. Well, a reunion special, I should say, because it wasn't really a crossover. You know, I am going to talk about that Beast Morphers reunion thing. That really should have taken place during Dino Fury. I don't understand why a Dino themed reunion was in Beast Morphers of all things. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.